technology. It's great.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Museo's online Lunch and Learn. I'm Carol Latham, the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Museo, Museum and Cultural Center in Anaheim. And it is our wish that you, your family, and circle of concern are all safe and healthy now and that you will stay that way. The Museo is a cultural and community hub with a mission to engage the community in exploring and celebrating our diverse heritage, culture, and arts. And we do this through creative educational programs, events, and exhibits. We appreciate your taking the time to join us today. This afternoon's presentation is with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Orange County and the Inland Empire. I'm sure that you will have questions, so be sure to add them in the chat and we will do our best to get them answered at the end of the program. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Isaac Stock. Let me tell you a little bit about Isaac. He leads the volunteer recruitment for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Orange County. He became a big brother to Shane in July of 2019. And he moved to California from Memphis, Tennessee in 2017 to pursue social and emotional contentment. He joined Big Brothers, Big Sisters because he believes in the mission and he describes it as clear, focused, tried, and true. He finds fulfillment in the work that is authentic and heartfelt. And I don't think you can be a big without having all of those components as part of your makeup. So it is my pleasure to introduce Isaac Stock. Isaac?
Thank you. Oh, Carol, thank you so much. Well stated. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for Museo for especially considering the times for allowing this to happen. So it's our actual first ever Lunch and Learn virtually. So thank you all for joining. I'm Isaac, as you have already learned. So I had volunteer recruitment for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So our goal, our mission, why we're here is to provide one-to-one mentoring to any child who wants and needs mentoring, and really just providing that a friend, mentor, or role model. The biggest thing that our at-risk youth that we serve are missing is just a consistency piece. So that's stability. And our vision, we're very active on social media. So we like to say hashtag igniting potential. Our vision is to find we believe the innate potential in every youth by continuing to conduct our program as we do. So all that to say, I'd like to introduce an active big brother in our organization. So I'd like to introduce to you, thank you for joining us today. So we have big brother Raphael Avila. He is actually a native to Anaheim, and he is the Code Enforcement Officer with City of Anaheim, or CEO, if you will, which we learned last week. He is big brother to Oscar, and congratulations is in order. They are coming up on celebrating their 6-month match milestone, which we're big on celebrating milestone and match anniversaries. And anyway, I want to thank Rapha for joining us, and he's going to speak a little bit today about his experience. So without further ado, Raphael or Rapha.
Hey everybody, my name is Raphael.
And yeah, so I know I gave a little intro. So okay, well we gave a little off the cusp intro, but I want to hear a little more from you. So a little more about you. How would you personally, if you had to describe yourself, what would you say?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Isaac, for allowing me to participate in this. I mean, the Big Brother Big Sister program is just, it's an awesome program. So how would I describe myself? I would fairly say I'm pretty funny. I love comedy. And also, I'm a student. I'm the type of person that I just, I love to learn, and I feel that there's always something to learn. There's no such thing as being a master at anything. We all have the potential just to expand our knowledge and to continue to learn. So that's how I would describe myself.
Saying we're so humble. We're very simple. How would if your friends had to describe you?
So the friends that I have, they would say that I'm also on the funny side. I'm a joker, but they would also say I'm quite a bit of a perfectionist. That's something that they would probably comment about myself, is just my strive to just try to be just perfect, even though there's no such thing as perfect. But that's one of the things that I have to try to realize and understand, that just the journey is good enough, and there's no such thing as perfection, but just continue to try your hardest.
Totally. And then gave a little bit of your little brother or your mentee in the organization, Oscar. How would he describe you?
So in the beginning, he would probably say that I was a little bit more on the serious side, but then once we shattered, the ice, broke the water, he would say that we have a lot in common, and that he would actually say I'm pretty adventurous, even though I don't think so myself, but just because I've had an opportunity to explore more than he has. So that's one thing that he likes to comment about me, is that my adventurous side.
Very cool. So speaking to that, right? So not necessarily things y'all have done together, but right, like you guys probably might share some of the same passions now, or as you give them exposure. But in general, what are some of your biggest things that you get excited about? Passions, interests?
So I love the outdoors. Anything to do with the outdoors, I'm in. Hiking, off-roading, just anything to do with nature. That's me, which is kind of hard to deal with right now under these current circumstances. I'm also really big into fitness. Back then when the gyms were open. But besides that, I love to try new things, such as new foods. Reading, I love to read. I'm currently reading one of Steve's books about Jesse and James Fremont. They were explorers back in the mid 1800s. I'm a big time vinyl collector. I love that goes back to the perfectionist. When it comes to vinyl, there's no pure audio than vinyl itself. Besides that, right now is just looking after our 8-month puppy, Luna, who demands a lot of attention. So that's one of our biggest passions right now.
Cool. I know it's funny what you said about the outdoors. So I remember the first picture I saw from you, but also what's really cool, I'm pretty sure, where there's like a virtual zoo tour. I know it's not the same, but it's funny. So what motivated you? What was your why when you decided to get involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So that's a really great question, Isaac. Mentorship has played a huge role in my life ever since being a child, to my career in code enforcement, to college, and even now, and it's going to continue. Mentors had such a huge impact on my life, and the way they shaped me, the way they molded me to become such a hard worker and to try to become a good person. That's what inspired me to get into the Big Brother Big Sister program. Giving an opportunity to kids that they just require that guidance, require that type of mentorship. And then also, I've always been the type of person that I've always wanted to make a huge impact on the world. But I eventually learned that, the best type of change that you can implement is those one-on-one relationships, those one-on-one interactions. And I found the perfect opportunity through Big Brother Big Sisters.
I was going to say, how ironic that I know an organization that has found great success in that one-to-one piece. But
definitely.
That is awesome. Okay, cool. So Thank you. So was there anything, did you have any apprehensions? Was there anything you were nervous about besides, I forgot what it was that you said when Ro and I first met in the office.
So yeah, there were a couple of things that I was a little bit concerned about. Number one was, the match that I was going to have.
Yeah.
Were me and my little going to click. And one thing that I really do have to give to big brothers and big sisters is that you guys do a phenomenal job of just finding a good fit between a little and a big. So that was one of my biggest concerns, is that perhaps, it wasn't going to be a good fit. There was just going to be radio silence throughout our outings. It was just going to be awkward. But when it comes to any type of relationship, that's how it usually begins, so that type of awkwardness. But again, going back to just your staff, they put a lot of thought and they look into the backgrounds, and they really do find really good fits. So that was my number one concern. And my number two was, after we were matched, that was just going to be it. They were going to say, hey, Raphael, you've been matched. Good luck. We'll see you in a year or so. I thought we were going to just tend to fend to ourselves, but it's quite the opposite. Your staff does a really great job checking in. I get a check-in every month through my match coordinator, Marcela. And besides that, they also recommend a lot of great, opportunities for outings. There's a lot of outings that are sponsored by Big Brother, Big Sister that are at no cost. So that worry of just being left to fend for yourself, it's non-existent. There's a lot of support and a lot of great support.
Awesome. Thank you. Very cool. So speaking about your little a little bit, well, tell us a little bit about Oscar, and then, yeah, maybe just y'all's experience leading up to this first 6 months. So a little about him, and then.
So yeah. Oscar is a great kid. He's 16 years old. Just, a kid that has a lot of potential. He's a little bit on the shy side, a little bit quiet. Currently struggles a little bit with his academics, but he has so much potential, and what he really needs is just that push. During our outings, I could see that he's just a really curious kid, just wanted to see how everything works. And, just I'm trying to push him on that. It's great to be curious. It's good to try to continue to seek that knowledge and see how things work. He's really big into skateboarding. He's big into handball. One thing I did not know is that handball has a lot of rules. But Oscar hasn't really experienced much, to be honest with you. Oscar lives in Santa Ana, and unfortunately he lives in that bubble that is Santa Ana. The thing that he really knows is just that block that he lives on. It blew me away that he's never been hiking. It blew me away that he's never been to a museum before. And it just goes back to, just the routine that he's in. He goes to school, and then goes home, and then pretty much that's it. So to be a part of that exposure and to experience a lot of things with them, and just to see his first time experience with things such as going to museums or even trying a new restaurant, you can see that, he enjoys it, and in return that makes you enjoy it as well. But just going back to Oscar, phenomenal kid, smart, has tons of potential. I see it, his parents see it, his teachers see it, and now it's just a matter of just trying to focus to make sure that he sees it himself.
Totally. Thank you. And so, right, with y'all hitting the 6-month milestone coming up, with that, and then also in relation to, currently what we've been experiencing over the past little period of time. So some wins, or you've already shared some of just giving that exposure and the experiences the first time, things that you've gotten to be part of that, bear witness and provide for that to him as well. But some milestones that you might have experienced, and how you all are staying connected, or if you're able to stay connected with, in respect to social distance.
No, definitely. So prior to this pandemic and to the state, mandating that safer at home order, we tried a lot of new different things. We've never been to the Lion Museum in Costa Mesa, next to, actually, it's in Santa Ana by John Wayne Airport. And it was a really cool place to experience. I had no idea that was there. But it was because of Oscar that I experienced it, because he's very interested in mechanics, very interested in any type of automobile. So in doing research, try to find something that both of us would like. And we found, the pearl that is the Lion Museum. And then prior to that also, just going to the packing house, downtown Santa Ana, like I said, experiencing new things that I probably would have not tried without, trying to find that adventurous side of hanging out with my little Oscar. But going back to the question of how are things during this current pandemic, it's a little bit difficult. Obviously, you can't, be there physically for them. We have to try to maintain our physical distance, but that still doesn't mean that you can't be a part of, his life. So what Oscar and I have been doing is we've been texting on a regular basis. And actually, I just called him on Monday because I just wanted to hear his voice to see how he's doing. And there's certain things that you can see via a phone call, you can actually hear via a phone call that you can't see through text. And one thing that I got was that he was a little bit concerned with what was going on, which all of us are. It's something new that none of us have really experienced. But for a 16-year-old to go through it, it's a little bit more alarming. So, as a big, that's where you try to step in and be like, hey, look, all of us are concerned. This is something that we're not used to, but this will pass, and once this passes, there's going to be a certain normal that we're going to have to adhere to, but life is going to continue. So just, providing that sense of relief, that guidance that, everything will be okay. And Big Brother, Big Sister, this program is crucial right now because there's a lot of youth that unfortunately they're not given that reassurance. Some of us have been through certain situations where it allows us to adapt better. A young child hasn't really gone through that yet, but as mentors, that's where we come in as a guide and say, hey, look, it's going to be okay. Things are going to work out.
Thank you. I was going to say, I know I need to reach out to you when I have cause for concern. No, seriously, that's very well stated. What did you say that I was like, oh, I love that language, because you didn't say go back to normal. You said, it's like, you're being honest without setting up false expectation. And
yes.
Really appreciate that. It's so challenging, and that's perfect, because a constituent of the program, the idea is that, right, we don't want you to be set up to be a parent, right? You're not a parent, you're not, bear with me, you're not a babysitter. It's like that right in the middle piece, that consistent, just, you're their person, friend, mentor. It's
definitely
very, very cool.
It's an interesting relationship. It is a really interesting relationship. Like you said, you're not a parent, not a babysitter. You're something a little bit more than a friend.
Cool.
That mentor-mentee relationship dynamic, it's something completely different.
Maybe a big brother. Just kidding.
There you go.
I was like, haha, the shoe.
There you go.
Just kidding. I know. I told Rapha, I was like, man, you make my corny jokes just not even necessary, y'all. So don't worry, we're good. We're done. I know you spoke to exactly why, like, how you guys are keeping in touch. And I know you did mention a little bit that you did have a mentor, but why do you think mentorship is important? And then if you want to speak to particularly during this time.
Sure. So mentorship is important because, we all have a story. All of us have something to give back. We all have different types of insights, and there are youth out there that could really use that. And essentially they do need it. For me personally, why I believe mentorship is very important is because one thing that really stood with me, and it stayed with me ever since I was a part of the application process with Big Brother, Big Sister. When I went down to the office in Santa Ana, is that there are a lot of quotes throughout the walls of the offices. And one that really just stayed with me, 100% of littles do not join gangs. And the reason why that one really stood with me is because I'm a native of Anaheim. I was born and raised in downtown Anaheim. Before downtown Anaheim was cool, the only reason why anybody would go down to Center Street Promenade was to pay for your utilities or to pay your gas bill. The packing house was not here. All the trendy stores at Center Street Promenade were not there. So downtown Anaheim was a little bit different back then. And there are a couple of friends of mine that unfortunately I lost through the prison system and through gang violence. So I asked myself, what if those individuals had mentors? What if they were given a chance? The reason why I'm matched up with Oscar is because I was given an option to pick between Oscar and another potential little. The reason why I went with Oscar is because he was at an older age. I believe at the age of 16, that's when you are aged out, unfortunately. I wanted to make sure he had that opportunity. He had that chance. And there's a lot of other kids that deserve that chance as well.
Totally. And I really appreciate that you brought light to that. On the flip side, just quick. So I am a big brother to Shane, who actually just turned 11, and we didn't do one of the little drive-by birthdays, but we did get to connect, and I got to surprise him with some goodies and inside jokes. Whatchamacallit, candy, swag package. Anyway, but it's so interesting. I never, speaking to your point. So yes, our kiddos, our littles, if you will, at the point of being matched. So when you're big and little become an active match, if you will, they're between 6 to 16 years old. So I had actually never heard your side of it. It's like you made a really good point, is that Oscar would have completely missed out on the opportunity to have a mentor, whereas now y'all, or each of you, are set up for success. And speaking to the matching, the compatibility, the process of how specifically we match you together, you guys at least have the opportunity for a lifelong friendship.
Definitely. And that friendship is always going to be there regardless. I mean, I totally do see Oscar as my little brother, from this point on. But correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's a pretty big wait list for matches, correct? Specifically in this area.
That is correct. So just part of the reason that we don't, sadly, like, we don't have to recruit for littles. Like, they find us, or they come in with their parent guardian. But we do have a wait list of now about a little over now, back to 500 kiddos on our wait list, waiting for a mentor. And right, we spoke to that one-to-one piece. So each person who, thank you, Rapha, who decides to be a mentor or volunteer to mentor, you are directly impacting that one mentee, that one life, hopefully forever, right? For the better forever. So
definitely. And if I just may make a brief comment. So I was also a little bit worried about because they stopped being a little at the age of 18. So I was worried about, okay, Oscar turns 18. What's going to happen then?
Right.
Well, there's another program where it continues beyond that, where it's still monitored by Big Brother, Big Sisters, where it's just a different type of focus, where we're not looking now at graduating high school, but maybe talking about higher education or potential employment, things like that. So to go beyond the age of 18, because it's not like age of 18, snap, we're going to have, yeah. There's still that guidance that remains. And I'm totally going to, if Oscar allows me, to continue to be his mentor even beyond the age of 18.
Good. So I have your verbal commitment. Not recording this, right? And also so Destination Future, and I'll speak to that. Yeah, just no lack of opportunities. And at the end of the day, child safety, child success is our number one concern, right? Ideally, though, ultimately, I believe we call this an evergreen partnership or an evergreen relationship where everybody wins. So the big, and I'm going to ask, maybe you could speak to this further. The big wins, maybe in ways that were unforeseen. The little is definitely directly, positively impacted. The parent guardian is hopefully happy about it. And then if all those things are in line, then the organization is happy because that's why we're here. So it is possible. Thank you, Rapha, for being living proof that it is possible to fulfill our mission and everybody wins. Okay, well, and no pressure, but if it's a yes, why would you recommend Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So it's a definite yes, without a question. I would totally recommend Big Brother Big Sister. Just going back to my personal experience, I've had mentors throughout my life, and I've been blessed to have those mentors. But there are kids that they need that guidance. Everybody should be able to fulfill their max potential. Sometimes all that's required is just a little bit of push. I'm not saying at the age of 28 that I am all-knowing and I have, all the expertise. Contrary to that, but we all have a story. All of us have a story, no matter our background, no matter our age, our career. We all have a story. We've all been, impacted in some way or another, and it's just a matter of trickling down that knowledge and trickling down that guidance to those that really do need it. Not to sound corny or anything like that, but it is a learning experience for yourself as well as a big. I learned a lot about myself going through this process, and just it opened up my eyes. The relationship, the mentor-mentee relationship, it's reciprocal. Yes, you do provide guidance and knowledge downwards to your mentee, but in return, you learn. You do learn a lot. You learn about yourself and you learn about different things as well.
Totally. And it's one of those things where, well, I'm going to somehow tie these together. Believe me, we were talking about all this started, and I was talking to Rapha. We didn't know what was going to happen. He was like, man, my gym's closing. Should I go? And this was day one of we were working from remote, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then we're talking about TV shows. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just started Ozark. I'm using this time to do Netflix and solo chilling. And he was like, man, did you watch Tiger King? And I was like, no, I heard a lot about it. And he's like, well, you just really have to experience it. And I'm learning that no matter whether you had heard about this organization before today or not, a lot of it really is just the experience. Speaking to your point about until you're doing the things, and really just a huge component of where we see that success is just spending the time, right? Being that consistent person that our kiddos that are at-risk youth lack. So speaking, thank you, Rapha, by the way. So speaking to Rapha's point, so he alluded to, we have a wait list. So we have a little over 500 at-risk youth in our community who have they've interviewed and are ready to be matched. So we've already seen that they both want and need the mentoring and that they are the right candidates for the program. So what we need are volunteers, mentors, just like Rapha, or just even like myself, who just decided to learn more and then took the next steps on what it becomes to just be matched to that one kiddo, that one person. And also, so out of all our active traditional matches, so just meaning one big brother to one little brother, one big sister and one little sister, a little over 50% of them actually reside in either Santa Ana or Anaheim. So first of all, I want to thank y'all for what you're already doing to help really just, evolve and make this next generation of leaders, set them up for success. But just so you know, it's local. We are directly impacting our community. And yeah, really, it's just what they lack is that consistency. So if you are interested in similar fashion to how Rapha explained, I'm going to share my screen for you, and just an opportunity to reach out to me after this. I'm not, no pressure, but if you want to talk, preferably about Big Brothers Big Sisters, I'd love to hear from you. But you can also sign up right here. Am I sharing my screen, Carol?
No, it's not.
Sorry about that. And what about now? Cool.
Yeah.
So I will leave this up here for right now. Once again, ocbigs.org volunteer. You will get an opportunity to hop on another Zoom call with myself just to learn more about what it takes, what actually goes into the program, requirements. And I'm happy to follow you on I like to call it your journey of becoming a big. So all that to say, if you have questions now, I want to thank everyone for your attention. Thank you, Rapha, for sharing. Right.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I appreciate it.
Couldn't have made that up, right? That's awesome. But I do want to open the floor. We have a couple minutes for just open question and answer. So I'd like to invite the audience.
Well, I do have a few questions that have come
Sure.
up, so maybe you can answer them. You have the volunteers, but can you just touch on a couple of things that would make it, what are the requirements and what are some of the training that's required to be a big, and a little bit of the support that happens through the organization to the bigs?
Fantastic. So
How
I'll
old
break
do
it.
you have to, how old do you have to be in order to be a big?
So specifically, so at least 18 years old. So that is a requirement. Valid California driver's license, 4-wheeled automobile vehicle, which it sounds, people laugh, but okay. I have a buddy who will be a fantastic big brother. Without getting too far down that rabbit hole, he only has a motorcycle. But like I said earlier, all other things, at the end of the day, child safety, #1 concern. So that's why we have a lot of the steps in play on the front end, where you learn more and then go through these steps, including the orientation, to the interview process, to then also the time in between being matched, because we do want to give all parties involved to make sure that it's the right time, to make sure that you feel that this is the right match for you, and ultimately set everyone involved up for success. And Rapha alluded to it. I know I was so excited to talk to Maricela, and she was really happy that you were going to be joining us, and had, some mostly great things to say. I guess she really enjoys y'all's, so Maricela is Rapha's match support specialist. So at the time that you become an active match, you meet mentee, little to be, you meet parent guardian, and then you meet your in-house case manager for the first time. And then yay, like you become an active match, and they help you plan your first outing together. Your match support specialist is critical to testament to why the program works as well as it does. So they check in monthly with you for at least the first year. You can call or text them at any time, like obviously with response with respect to work hours, obviously, but they're really like a mentor to the mentor. So they are in your corner. They can help you to set boundaries. For myself, I know within my first 6 months of being with Shane, and it doesn't have to be anything cataclysmic. It just, I am someone who is working on setting healthy boundaries. And I had built this expectation, and my little brother Shane really wanted to meet my dog Alfred. And of course, when I have downtime, I want to spend it with Alfred, but I also want to spend it with Shane. And so I was really struggling with that. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but in terms of, you know, time and in the moment, it's a really big deal. So Mitzi, my match sports specialist, was able to coach me through that to the point that it was celebrated. Actually, we have a photo of myself, Shane, and Alfred the first time that we all got to hang out. So things like that, things that might come up. So you have that backbone of support. Speaking, and hopefully answered your question on that, Carol.
We had a comment from Anna. Thank you, Anna. She wanted to say that we need more of these kinds of matches in our community. And Lynette was asking, is there, the age requirement starts at 18. Is there a maximum age? And how about being, depending on your limitation, physical limitations?
So great questions. There is no limit. However, physically, I would say, so responsibility wise, you're financially responsible, which thank you, Rapha, for sharing the ways the organization provides opportunities to help on that end, because we get it. You're volunteering your time. But you are also transportation wise, you're responsible. And that's part of the child safety piece, where you do have to pass both a DMV and a DOJ, you know, background check, and you do have to be able to drive. So all that to say, physically, that would definitely be a prerequisite. But otherwise, I'd be able to answer any specific questions on that.
Okay. The other thing too, and in touching on the physical ability, is do you also have matches for maybe hearing impaired littles or vision impaired littles as part of the program?
See, that's a great question. So we do ask. So we ask the littles when they come in for interview in similar fashion that we ask our bigs. They go through a very intensive interview process. I'm not going to say that it's like a therapy session, but it's very interpersonal. So all that to say, on the little side of it, and that would be a question to unpack further for our enrollment and intake team, because they are just phenomenal at what they do, from the interview process to speaking to Rapha's point about the matching based on compatibility. All that to say, if you express interest and that's something that you're looking for, then definitely that would be taken into consideration, just like every other factor is put into the mix of making a match.
How about cultural or ethnic pairings as well? I know that there is a Jewish Big Brothers, Big Sisters, for instance. There's that organization. And I know that they work in partnership with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the sort of general organization. But how does the cultural and ethnical matches happen? Or is that?
So it's right under the same umbrella. So we're covering it all under there. I'm glad I really like that question a lot. So we definitely have different opportunities. We have once you are a match, and for the big side of it, we have different faith-based initiatives in which you can be involved and have another opportunity to connect. As matches, though, more specifically, you express your interests. So I wouldn't say that we're non-denominational, but I would say that we're open to, you know, we're involved in humans, right? So regardless of belief, whatever it may be, we will definitely match you based on belief and be cognizant of, okay, does mom want me to not talk about, Hanukkah or Christmas or this or that? So we're very, very cognizant of all of those things. But if it is important to you and you express it, we can best match you accordingly.
And Isaac, if I can jump in real quick.
Please do.
The screening process is actually pretty thorough. The application process is very thorough. Isaac is right. It did feel like a little miniature counseling session. I just came out with a brand new perspective of life. All jokes aside, though, everything is aired out. They talk about if you have any issues being potentially matched with anybody that has this type of physical disability, or if there are any concerns with such and such, and all that information is all aired out. And on the reverse as well, everything about the match is also disclosed to the parents. One thing that I have is I have tattoos, and they made that a point to check in with the parents to make sure that, hey, is that fine? Is that culturally okay with you? So there's a great communication with all parties to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that there's a certain level of respect with ideas, cultures, and to make sure that everything's okay with that. But in the orientation that I was a part of, there were cross-cultural matches. There were individuals that, there were, I believe there were an Asian couple that they were mentoring a Hispanic mentee. So like Isaac said, it's just more about human guidance, being on the side of humanity.
Thank you. Yeah, and just connection. And so the cool thing is that our program doesn't stop. So even with all this going on, it's been very empowering. And Rapha, I would love for you to please jump in as needed and help. But it's just being able to keep this connection right now. It's people that might even be newer to the program or newer along the way in the process that are realizing like, oh, like even though whatever things may have been on hold in my personal life, they're expressing that it's empowering to see that, our mission is critical, whether it's listed as I forget what they call it, like an essential business or whatever. It's like our mission and trying to help our kiddos are still day in and day out needing and wanting our help. And so it feels really good, especially when we talk about just sense of purpose, to still be able to work and do everything that we can to fulfill that mission.
Definitely. And if I just may real quick, like I said earlier, right now is a time where this type of mentorship is needed, just because the daily routine of the littles have been impacted greatly. They're now just pretty much, unfortunately, stuck at home. But that's where hopefully we can come in and then try to, even though we can't physically take them out of that situation, to go explore, but still provide that reassurance. I mentioned that ways that I check in with Oscar is it's via text and phone call, but I just wanted to check in with the mom as well, and just check in with Oscar's mom, Araceli, to see how, from her perspective, how Oscar was doing. Because sometimes your little will not tell you things that, the parents will see.
What's cool is, and maybe we'll find the reciprocal of that, where your little will trust in you, and where you're their person that they can lean on, and they might not want to tell, parent, guardian.
Definitely. I had to have a couple of conversations with Oscar about tattoos. It's like, well, hey, you're still under your parents' roof. You need to stop and think about that before you go any further.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then I saw. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kira. I was going to.
Go ahead, Isaac. Go ahead.
So I was going to answer Lynette's next question. Is that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So speaking about that from the same city, so we also testament to the enrollment and intake process. So we ask geographically, where do you live? And that ideally you either work and or live in Orange County. So we are big brothers, big sisters of Orange County and the Inland Empire. So the tri-counties, we serve Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside. I am representing volunteer recruitment, and Rapha is a big brother in our Orange County chapter. We just have two separate offices. So we do have one in the IE as well. Total, we are serving upwards of 4,000 at-risk youth. All that to say, we're not going to ask you to, drive to, to LA or anything like that. That is part of the compatibility. We ask you geographically, where are you located? How far would you like to drive? Because we do reiterate that you are responsible for transportation. So I believe that answers that. Lynette, yes.
How do the kiddos find out about the program so that they can potentially be a little?
So we don't have to recruit for them. So they either know about us or have heard about us, or they see our office. Like, we are very centrally located. We're technically Santa Ana, right off the 55. However, we're within 3 miles of, or even less, like Tustin, Irvine, Costa Mesa, not far from Anaheim. So they know of us.
So do you partner with, say, a Boys and Girls Club or a Y or any of those organizations that are already working with youngsters?
I mean, we would never turn down an opportunity. We adopt the modality of all boats rise. Like, we want all nonprofits and all organizations that are trying to fulfill their missions to succeed. But we're not exclusive, if that makes sense, to partnering with any specific one.
Hi, I'm Laura from Big Brothers. Carol, nice to meet you. Heard so many good things about you.
Thank you.
Just wanted to jump in because my team handles partnerships with community-based organizations. And yes, we do. We partner with the YMCA, with various cities, Boys and Girls Club. We partner with various after-school programs, the Child Abuse Prevention Center. So references from other agencies is definitely one of the largest ways that we find our littles. Another really big referral source is school counselors. So working with school counselors and therapists, and they, thankfully we have a wonderful reputation within the community of being a quality program. So we do get a lot of references through schools as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
I didn't know I could.
I think Priscilla
had
my
a lifeline
question.
on that. Yeah, that was. Thank you, Laura.
Isaac, did you see Priscilla's question?
Does age play a factor in the age of your little? So going back to the interview and what you would put on your volunteer application. No, an 18-year-old would not necessarily have a younger little. We also ask you age-wise if there's a range, or if you are looking for anyone. Yes, so between 6 to 16, our littles are between 6 to 16 at the point of being matched. So if you have how Rapha, I think that was awesome, saw the need for Oscar to have a mentor while he could at 16, before he was, I believe you said, was kind of phased out. Counterpoint, I asked for a range from 9 to 11 because I wanted to have a little brother, which it's funny because I'm like, oh, Shane, yeah, that was a testament to the matching process. It's I can still make that impression on him without him looking at me being like, whatever, this guy, my big brother's like a nerd, or where I could still have more of like an influence on him. So yeah, it's totally based on if you have, the more you tell us in the interview process, the better we can match you. So yes.
I think we have time for maybe one more question.
I was saying that, yeah, exactly.
Rapha mentioned about your dog. And so it made me think that you've had an opportunity to introduce Oscar to your family. Is that something that is encouraged, that they become you get to know their family and they get to know yours and cement that relationship?
So yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't possible because you're not allowed to introduce your little to other family members or even take them to your house until after the 6 months have passed, that 6-month anniversary. Current pandemic happens. I was already planning, hey, come over to the house and we'll have a carne asada. You can meet my little doggy and meet my wife. So I'm planning for that once all this opens up, to bring them in to hopefully become one day a part of the family. But also there's another, I believe it's a category of the big brother, big sister, where you can opt in to be mentors as a couple, if I'm correct, Isaac, right? Where you can have a mentor as a couple, as opposed to what I'm doing is just on the individual basis.
Exactly. Thank you. I know y'all informed on such great points. Yes, exactly. So what Rapha said, you can apply as a big couple. So so if you've been in a significant relationship with your other partner for at least 2 years, you can apply as a big couple. So where 2 bigs would be matched specifically with 1 little. So big brother, little brother, big sister, little sister, big brother, big sister, little brother. Okay. And all that to say, it's a cool little, like we're very data driven, and we do stick to those based on the metrics with that 1-to-1 piece. This is one way that we do deviate from it, because it also can help take, because of the need, right? We spoke about the wait list. Also, yes, we definitely need big brothers. We definitely need big sisters to volunteers. I will say that a little over 80% of the kiddos on our wait list are young males. So in this way, the Big Couples program is a way to help with that. Yeah, and thank you for Rapha for speaking to the 6-month piece. That was a huge part of when Shane got to meet my dog Alfred as well. And we really just, not that you necessarily need that first 6 months to help build that trust, but we have these systems in play to where at 6 months it's highly celebrated, right? So like I said, we're big on milestones. Thank
you. Before we close, let me remind everyone that's watching that the link for Big Brothers Big Sisters will be available on the Museo, www.museo.org website, and there will be a follow-up evaluation email as well, because we'd like to know your thoughts on this program as we continue to bring meaningful and relevant programs to the community, especially during these very uncertain times. To support the Museo, of course, there's a donate button on our website, Instagram and Facebook links as well. And as always, your generosity is appreciated, and I'm sure the same can be said for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Special thank you to Rosario Javier and Kirsty Bloom and Berkenda Cantlo for setting up and doing all the work behind the scenes to make this happen. And of course, Isaac and Raphael for sharing your experiences and your stories. Special thank you to all of you who took the time this afternoon to be part of our viewing audience. This afternoon, we invite you to stay well, stay safe, and stay healthy. Thank you from the Museo.